So it's the same example with the previous. So when I entered something in here, and when I click, the Google search will be appeared in here. And when I click this, when I click it, then the page will be automatically loaded like this. But I wanted to extend it to provide it to save user's choice, to provide the history. I mean, I wanted to provide the history of the user's choice. So in the option key, I wanted to provide which page is loaded. So to make this, I think you should know about the time to the event handling of the web controller. So there is the loading listener in the web controller, and by using the loading listener, you can get the internal state of the web controller. So with this listener, you can get when the page is loaded, and then you can make history to the users. And to adding the listener is somewhat different with the general UI. I mean, the general UI listener, they using the add XXX listener, but the web controller is using the set XXX listener. So why this is different? The reason difference is the general UI listener can have multiple listeners, so they are using the add. But the web controller, only one listener can be existed, so just the set. And to remove the listener, there is a remove API in the general UI listener, but on the web controller listener, there is no remove method. Just set the null, then the listener will be removed. So the first two lines is the same, but I added one more line to set the loading listener. So when I give the loading listener, it will be invoked. There is many functions in the iLoading listener. For example, when the loading is started, onLoading started method will be invoked, or the loading is cancelled by the user, onLoading cancel method will be invoked. But I will focus only the onLoading completed, which is when the page loading is completed, then it will be invoked. Yeah. So when the page loading is completed, I can determine now I can provide the history because the user doesn't cancel. So I can provide the history. So to provide history, I should know about the URL and the title. And the title will be appeared in the option key, and the URL will be moved to that page. So I can get the title and the URL with this method. And then I know the URL and I know the title, so I can add the option. I can history to the option menu. But there is a more good way to provide the option to the history, so I wanted to explain about it. There is the page navigation list class exists, and it can handle history. So at the first, the Google search page is loaded. That is the item 0 of the page navigation list. When I click here and the new page is loaded, then new item is created, and that is the item 1. So the recent item has the larger number. So when I click when I move to another page, then the item 2 will be created. So using the page navigation history, you can handle the history of the web controller. So there is some functions of the page navigation list. At the first, you should get the instance of the page navigation list by using the get backforward list and method of the web controller. Then you can get the page navigation list, and you can get the index by calling the get current index method, or you can get the item, specified item with the get item at method. When you get the item, you can get the title and the URL. So you can provide the history to the user. And maybe you remember this method is finished with the end, so you should delete this instance. So after when you're using, you should delete the created instance. And there is some tip for intercepting the web controller. Within the loading listener, you can intercepting the web controller's working. So there is two chances, and the first chance is the before processing URL. That time the onloading request method is invoked, and in that time you can determine the URL. So if you wanted to special things for specified URL, you can handle it. And if you wanted to handle it, you must return true in here, or you just wanted to let the browser do, please return false. And the second chance is when the first data is arrived. At that time, on web data received method is invoked with the parameter the MIME type and the HTTP header. So you can handle your own MIME type in here, or you can handle the header with the header. Yeah. So if you wanted to handling your own MIME type, or then you must return the web decision ignore, or same the browser will handle the data, you must return the web decision continue. So with this method, you can intercepting the web controller's behavior. So okay, let's check with the demo. And it takes some time, and so I will drink a water. Okay, it loaded. So the white one is the web control, and this is the edit field. I can input in here, and there is a button is exist. So when I entered something in here, for example, I will give the bada, and I click the search button, then the Google search result will be loaded, yeah, like this. So it's the web control, and it's really now is searched by using the Google, and I provided some history in here by option menu. And when I click it, it moves to the page to the bada homepage, like this. And the history will be extended like this. And a short advertisement. Yeah. As you said, as you hear before, we are doing the developer challenge, and the first prize is the $300,000. I think it's very big money. Yeah. So let's try. Yeah. Okay. So I can go back to my presentation. I can move to the history. When I click it, it will be load another page, and the history will be changed. So please come back to the presentation. Yeah. So until now, we learned about what is the web control and how to use it and how to handling the event. So as I said before, the bada web control can handling the JavaScript. So now I will explain about how to handle JavaScript.